Hello. So today I want to give you my opinions on making an audiobook. So let's begin on discussing how you write. Now, as a writer, it is my opinion that each way you deliver your story should be different. What do I mean by this? Well, I created my book series, The Guardian of Light. I wanted to deliver not just an epic story, but an immersive read for the reader. What do I mean by this? Well, here's an example. This is how normal stories are usually published. Notice the small text, the plain font. Yes, the story can be powerful and impactful, but visually there's nothing too great to set the mood. Now look here as well. This first page, notice the chapter is different. Notice the different font. It kind of is common when putting in chapters. Sometimes writers include a small picture or mark. They also use a very different font for the first letter of the chapter. It might be larger. It might be a separate font altogether. But then it goes right back to normal, to the same old font, normally only changing from whether it's bold or italic. Now, I'm not saying this is every single author out there. I'm saying this is just how it's normally done. It is the normal way most writers write. Me, on the other hand, the only way you will find my books in this normal format is as an ebook. When it comes to my paperback, however, take a look. I use several different fonts and sizes. Why? If you're reading this, if the character is reading a note from someone or a letter from someone, I want the reader to feel as if they are seeing the letter as well. If the character picks up a book or starts reading a newspaper, I want the reader to feel like they are holding that book, that they are reading that newspaper. This way, I feel like it really brings the reader deeper into the story. So, why as a paperback? Well, ebooks, from what I know at this time, are very particular on what fonts you are and aren't allowed to use. However, paperbacks are printed. Due to this, I can charge slightly more for a paperback than I do for an ebook. So I price my ebooks at $8.99 and the paperbacks at $12.99. If my readers are going to pay an extra $4, I want to give them something better. And this is not all I do. I also, with my paperbacks, include special announcements, like the name or release date of my next work in progress. When people bought Book 3 of The Guardian of Light, I had an ad at the end for Book 4, which said that Book 4 would come out November 5th. Everyone who got the ebook just got an ad that said coming soon. I revealed the cover to Book 4 on this channel at the beginning of October. And on that same day, I revealed the release date. But those who had picked up the paperback of Book 3 several months earlier, they knew. They already would have seen that Book 4 was going to be out November 5th. Now, why am I off topic when I said this video is about making an audiobook? Well, the whole thing to consider when you're making an audiobook is ebooks are cheaper because they're easy in my eyes. You have a plain font, you just have the story. Yes, the reader puts a lot of work into making that story, but they don't have to put a lot of content, like they don't change the fonts and stuff, because ebooks don't normally allow for a lot of different fonts, as I said earlier. Yes, I know there are many readers that like it that way, but you cannot get an ebook signed at a convention. So a true fan, a real fan, will get the paperback. Normally the paperback costs more, and that is the thing with an ebook versus a paperback versus an audiobook. Is of the three, an audiobook normally costs more than the paperback book. So here are my 3 tips on how to make a great audiobook epic. Number 1. First off, all audiobooks is someone reading your book. If you don't have a good reader, or there is a problem with the volume, that is going to be an issue for you, because if a person is listening to them droll on and on, they might possibly fall asleep during it. And unless that was the point and the reason they bought it, that's not what you want. I have listened to many examples on ACX, and either the person is using a poor mic, speaking too low, or has no type of pro setup, which allows background noise. And even in my videos here, I don't have the best setup, of course. I'm not recording an audiobook. I'm just making free content for writers and readers. If I was, I would have myself a homemade studio. And perhaps, if my book series ever takes off, I might just do that. So, tip number 1 is to find a really good reader with a good voice and at least some type of basic pro setup. Now, I want to give you a bonus tip here and just say that you may find that person. Make sure to exchange contact info, and before any deal is struck, see if they are willing to speak, chat, email, whatever. No matter if it's email, phone, or texting, just open a conversation between you two. Get to know the person that's going to be reading your book. The reason why is because you are adding a person to your work. This is no longer just you. So they're going to need to know a lot of things about your book. So open that line of communication so they can get what they need from you for the project to make it the best it can be. Me, I want the audiobook to be more epic than the paperback and deliver something more, which leads me to number 2. So I have said in the past that I do not have time really to sit down and just read a book very often. It is my opinion that if I have free time, I should be spending it working on this YouTube channel or on my own books or my author platform. This does not mean I don't like books. I am a fan of stories. True, I love movies. They are a quick, easy way to absorb a story, and they require the least amount of effort, normally. If doing a book review was my life, then yes, I would read more. But I don't. But I don't do that. I create the story. I am a single father. So much of my time is spent raising my daughter and working. So, by this, hopefully you see where I'm going with this. When I am driving, which for my normal job, until my career as a writer takes off, I do a lot of driving. While I'm driving, I'm either listening to audiobooks or music. My coworkers think I'm crazy when I pull up to work and they hear an audiobook playing. So yeah, I've listened to my share of audiobooks, collecting the ones I can when I can. Recently, I just reviewed one of my favorites, which was Ready Player One. If you have not watched that video, there will be a link to it at the end of this video. But moving on. While I love that audiobook, it could have been better. It could have been way, way better. Will Wheaton does a wonderful job, but he simply just reads the book and that's it. Some of my personal favorite audiobooks is the Star Wars audiobooks. Not just because I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. Playlist to my Star Wars video will be at the end also. But because they not only have some great narration, normally by Mark Thompson, a well-known anime voice actor, but they also include sound effects. When he reads about Jedi fighting a Sith, behind his voice you hear the hum and clash of lightsabers. When someone hears a TIE fighter passing overhead, you hear the TIE fighter flying by as well. I recently tried promoting my audiobooks on Twitter, and shortly after someone asked me what was with all the noise in the background. I told them it was to make the audiobook more immersive for my listeners. That person commented back saying most narrators don't like that. I stopped replying because I did not feel the need to fight with this person. But to that I will say, who is the audiobook for? The narrator or the reader/listener? As someone who listens to audiobooks, I love the immersive sounds in my audiobooks. I love when the voices change to match the scene. What do I mean by this? Well, here, listen to this clip from my recent audiobook, The Legal Murderer.
"Thank you, that is very helpful," Scott said quickly as he dashed away towards the elevators. Several police officers were entering the elevators or waiting for another elevator, while others were going through the fire escape stairwells. Scott and Donald took the stairwell nearest to the elevators, which was just down the hall from them. "Suspect is most likely on the 4th, 5th, or 6th floor. He may already know we are here. Proceed with extreme caution," Scott yelled into his radio. "You really think he knows we're here?" Nash asked Grimes as they reached the 2nd floor. Jack heard the sounds of voices getting close. They were going past the 2nd floor and would probably be here within seconds. Quietly, he closed the door to the stairwell and headed back through the halls. He walked for some time until he came up to a locked door.
See, when the police are climbing the stairwell, there is an echo to the voice, which is how real voices would sound in a stairwell. Then notice, the second it cuts back to the narrator reading, the echo stops. Now, I know what you're thinking, that it's probably going to cost you extra to get that done. Hey, if you want to pay somebody, if you can afford to pay somebody to edit that in, that's fine. That is your choice. My audiobooks were done by me. I have been working on editing since high school. I am no pro, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I'm not a pro, but I'm learning. Every time I make a new video, I'm learning more and more and more. I'm getting better with the systems I have. If you do not have those skills, there are many ways to learn, many programs you can use. You could also see if the narrator themselves would be willing to do it at no extra cost. Remember, this project is no longer just you. They need and should want this audiobook to sell also. In fact, most narrators understand that. And keep this in mind. This might be the closest you ever get to your story becoming a movie. So why not make it something on that level? Also, if you go through ACX, which is a part of Amazon and Audible, they're going to charge whoever buys your audiobook top dollar. So why not give the reader/listener the best listening experience possible? Give the reader a reason to want to re-listen to the work over and over again. I love the book It by Stephen King, but I have re-listened to my Star Wars audiobooks more. So tip number 3, who should you have be the voice of your book? Well, again, it is my opinion that the voice of your book should be the same gender as the MC. However, there is a saying that I love: go big or go home. And I have stopped the audiobooks for my main series, The Guardian of Light, because right now I'm looking for something special. I'm looking for something epic. I want a team of narrators that are willing to take a chance on me and my work. What do I mean by this? Well, I've listened to all 7 Harry Potter audiobooks, and while Jim Dale does a fantastic job, I often wondered what would it have been like if he had a female by his side doing the voices of all the female characters. A woman just as good as him doing great voice work. Honestly, I am sure he would have loved the chance it would have given him for those brief seconds to take a break during conversations. And it would have made the conversations feel more real because he doesn't have to change his voice. He can actually talk to somebody who's going to talk back to him. And it would have felt like a more realistic conversation. Not to say the conversations don't sound real, but I mean, there is a difference when it's one person doing voices versus 2 people having an actual conversation. It just would add a little bit more. Plus, it would have given him a brief second to pause, a brief second to drink, which I'm sure he would have loved. But he does probably do that. He just edits out the pauses. And honestly, if he did do that, or if anybody did that, it would suck me in more to the story, I think. Again, going back to the realism of the conversation. Now, I understand this is not a normal thing, but if I could get that, I think it would take my audiobook to the next level. And I am sure it has been done already, and maybe I just have not come across it. But that's one of my dreams, turning my book from an audiobook to an audio movie, with talented voice actors working together and epic sounds. However, sadly, it's beyond my reach at this moment, because if I could find it, I probably can't afford it. Now, I would like to work with a celebrity. Like I said before, Mark Thompson does the narration for most Star Wars audiobooks, but I can never afford it. He would probably charge me too much. So, for this, stick with what you can afford. ACX has dozens and dozens of talented people willing to work with you. I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I have always selected the royalty share program and worked with some lovely people that did a remarkable job. Recently, I just worked with Brad Letson and Tara Klein, who allowed me to add in my effects. And they loved how the extra sounds brought the story to life. We had extremely wonderful chats, and I look forward to the next time I get to work with them on other short stories I have planned for the future. The way I see it is this: they have a dream. I have a dream. Just like you. By working together and making something that will help you both out, it's going to benefit both of you. If I could afford a huge, well-known actor or actress for my series, The Guardian of Light, I know it would kick off my series. I know my books would sell. And to be fair, I actually did try. I looked up several well-known voice actors, and I only found one of them on ACX. I made him an offer, which, looking back at it now, I'm glad he declined, because my first book had to go through several re-edits since then. But Eric Stewart said no, and I'm sure that if he had done my book series, it would have been a lot more successful. Just because he is a big name in the anime community. And since Mark Thompson is busy narrating the Star Wars, I know he will never have time to narrate mine. I really would have liked to try and find Ted Lewis on there, but he wasn't on ACX, so he is one of my favorite voice actors. In fact, all three of them are really good, and I like all three of them. But unless you're rich with money to burn, there's a very good chance when you're starting out, no big voice actor or actress will give you aid and help you out by using their fame to pull you up. Which is kind of a shame in my eyes, because we all need a chance. We all need that person at the top of their game to just reach down and say, look, okay, let's do this. So this brings me back to where do you begin? Find others that are looking to climb that ladder. Work together to make the best audiobook you can. If that person is unwilling, then they're not the right dreamer to work with you. Your two dreams don't match up. They don't fit together. Don't get discouraged. Just keep looking. That's what I'm doing. And that's why I have not continued on with my audiobook series for my main book series. If there are any well-known anime voice actors that love fantasy books that want to take a chance on me, I really think we can make something epic. But until that time, I'm going to wait. And if there is a team of people out there, by the way, that are willing to and able to work on a narration together that would be epic, I would love to hear from you. As long as it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. Which, like I said, this is my ultimate goal. It's a little bit movie. It's a little bit audiobook. I hope these tips help you find the right person you're looking for. The right person to help narrate your audiobook. And if you would like to learn more about the do's and don'ts of ACX, check out this awesome YouTuber, Dale, and his channel, One of his videos will be linked in the description below. These are just my personal tips. They are not laws. You do not have to follow them. This is just how I feel as a fan of audiobooks. And yes, audiobooks are the same as reading. Someone has to read it to you. Key word there is read. You're getting exactly the same information as if you were holding the book in your hand. And think of all the people audiobooks help out, like dyslexic readers. Make it worth the money, because let's say your paper book costs $19.99. The retail value of your audiobook is probably going to be somewhere between $30 to $40. So if you could, please subscribe to my channel. Check out my videos. If there's anything else you'd like me to talk about in an upcoming video, please tell me in the comments below. I want to thank you all for watching, and happy writing.